Welcome to the next episode of the Roscko Rundown. Today we're going to be looking at this 40,000 mile 2002 Porsche 911 Turbo 6-speed. And I'm going to tell you right off the top, these are fantastic cars. Now, if you're not familiar with Porsches, you're probably thinking, wow, it looks a little dated and not sure what year that is. Well, this is the generation of the 996. And unfortunately, the 996 did have a bad reputation or a stain on its history, and we'll talk about that. But this car is actually excluded from that. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people are always asking about the IMS bearing, and it does not apply to this car. So first off, I wanted to address that. Now, another thing that a lot of people usually talked about these cars was their front end. Now, the cool thing about the 996, in my opinion, especially the turbo one, is that you definitely had a different front bumper than your regular 911. But I think the front end was really based on preference. I like it. I really dig the car, in my opinion. I actually know someone who owns a 996 and it is super nice example. Very clean, low miles, and it looks fantastic. I like them. So anyways, why is the turbo model so special? Well, first off, it did not suffer from the IMS bearing debacle. And also, it was one of the fastest cars when it came out. Now, back in 2002, if you wanted a 415 horsepower with 415 foot-pounds of torque, there was not a lot of cars that would give you that, especially with the build quality and the feel of a Porsche. And this one did it. Now, again, we start off by talking about some of the cons, but it's important to talk about that because, unfortunately, things get around. Like I call it car gossip. People talk about stuff, and sometimes they honestly don't know what they're talking about. I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But this is one of those cases where this car is built extremely well. I remember one day I got one of the Panamera magazines, and it's the official Porsche Club of America fancy magazine. And I remember one article which was great about a guy who had either 200 or 300,000 miles on this car, and he almost experienced no mechanical failure at all. Like, he just drove it across the country and just enjoyed it, just constantly enjoyed it, and really got his whole money's worth. Now, in my opinion, I think the car looks great. I love the rear bumper grill, those grills in the bottom, and I love the wheels, and I think it looks pretty sharp. And also, if you want a car that is really well built, that's going to last you, and that it's quick for a good bang for the buck, these are still amazing cars. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the BAT essentials like we always have. So our chassis number, we're always looking for those nice Easter eggs. I don't see anything that applies to that, but if you guys ever figure out the Porsche VIN number, if we figure that out, let me know. 40,000 miles. Oh man, I don't have my phone with me. Okay, no, here I do. All right, we're going to do the math. One day I'm going to know all this math. So we're 2022, and we're going to do minus 2002, 20 years, 40,000 miles divided by 20, 2,000 miles. In my opinion, if that was done consistently, that was a very normal, nicely driven car. Not too many miles. I think a nice example. I would definitely look at the Carfax if you ever want to see how those miles were driven. Look at the Carfax, and I'll tell you how many miles were driven within that period. All right, twin turbo, 3.6 flat six. Can't go bad with the flat six with two turbos on it. 6-speed manual transmission. This is a very important thing for the 996 911 Turbo. And the reason why this is important is because they didn't have dual clutch back then. This was just your regular automatic transmission. I don't know how an automatic transmission back then for Porsche felt, but it definitely is not going to feel like a dual clutch. So the 6-speed is the most desirable transmission for this car. So that's great. All-wheel drive. Now that's something I should have harped on a lot. So you have this beautiful car, and it's twin turbo, it's got that much power, and it puts it to the all-wheel drive, and it's reliable. You can ask for more than that. Seal gray metallic paint, Savannah beige full leather upholstery. Let's look at this. Now, the 996 interiors are a little, I mean, back in the days, they were top of the line. We can never criticize a car for their design because that's how they were back then. And back then, you'd probably be like, "That's amazing," and that applies to cars, houses, and everything else, and even us. But this looks like it was well taken care of, and I am a big fan of this color, anyways. And I think this car is actually a really nice car. Like, oh, I want so many cars. All right, so let's get back to our bad essentials here. All right, Savannah beige full leather, 18-inch turbo twist wheels. We talked about how those look perfect on there. I wouldn't switch them out. Sunroof, Xeon headlights, Porsche Classic information screen, which is probably useless now, just being honest. Automatic climate control, cruise control, driver position memory. That's always good. Driver seat power lumbar support. That's good. At least likes lumbar support. I never use it. Clean Carfax report. Important. So all of this is just a great thing. Now, we're going to talk about this listing in general. I love the car. Interior, exterior colors, perfect. Red calipers, amazing. Original wheels, low mileage. If I was looking for this car, this one would be it. All right, let's talk about me as a master tech. What would I be doing if I went to go look at this car? Well, off the top, service history. Even though it's got 40,000 miles, you want to find out what's going on. You know, at least the spark plugs should be changed out. You want to make sure you've definitely had at least 4 or 5 oil changes. I can see the air filter there. It looks pretty good. And I would definitely make sure I looked at the underneath carriage to see if there's any look at that. We could even do that now. I don't know if that's all we got. But it looks like we don't have any rust. Looks like we don't have any major leaks. And then one of the things that a lot of people are going to overlook is clutch. Now, you're probably thinking it's got 40,000 miles, but let me tell you, that all depends on the driver. Like, either they knew how to drive the car or they didn't. And unfortunately, this isn't a Ferrari where you could go find out your clutch life. I'm not sure if you could do that with these cars. But regardless, that's just something that I would look into. And it never hurts to get a PPI done by Porsche, especially if you have a good dealership. It's like $400 or $500. But I'm telling you the truth, they tend not to do it anymore. I don't know what's going on. But I would look at that. Another thing too, I would look at the front radiators, make sure that they're not completely beat up. That's one of the things about Porsches you want to look at. You could always put a paint meter if you want to. This car would probably look even amazing if you did like a single stage polish and some ceramic coating on it. You're really not going to get a lot more information as far as like this data center. Well, I don't know. Maybe it looks a little updated to me. I want to find out more about that. Man, what's going on there? Hold up. What's that? Is that an updated Porsche thing? Let's see. I didn't catch that. All right, let's see. For a second. All right. The car is equipped with Porsche's an automatic brake differential. Let's see. Cabin features, leather wrapped, turbo. I don't know, man. I feel like I could be wrong, but I think that looks like a newer Porsche Classic information is. I don't know. Anyways, that's probably something I don't really know about as far as this. Because this looks newer, guys. This doesn't look like back in 2002. But maybe it is. All right. Well, guys, that's all I have for this car. Thank you for listening. Oh, one more thing. Here's the service histories on it. Great. You can't get a DME report, a rev report. Just make sure it's well taken care of. I definitely would ask about the clutch. But this looks like a nice car. Well, guys, thanks for watching another Roscko's Rundown. We always invite you to share this and to like it and to subscribe. And we will talk to you soon.